We welcome now Jim Miller, Executive Director of the Mississippi Main Street Association. Jim, good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me, Gerard. I appreciate it.
You bet. So, for the benefit of our audience, tell us what the Mississippi Main Street Association is all about. What's the mission there?
Yeah, absolutely. So our mission is to serve as the catalyst for the preservation and the economic revitalization of Mississippi's historic downtowns and traditional commercial districts. And that really looks different from community to community, but that's our mission to make sure that those historic downtowns that were for so long kind of the beating heart of our communities, that they are revitalized and remain that healthy kind of beating heart of our respective communities across the state.
And the state of Mississippi is blessed with a number of communities that do have these historic downtowns, and you could tell when you visit them that so many of them are kind of historical in nature, but you know that they were incredibly thriving areas and the heartbeat of those areas, but many have been revitalized, modernized, and continue to be so.
Absolutely, and that's certainly an encouraging thing to me. I'm entering my third week on the job, so I'm kind of drinking through a fire hose right now. But I have been so encouraged by the passion that I've seen, not only from the Main Street staff, but all of the local directors around the state with all of our different member communities. I'm not sure I've ever seen passion like that. So, it's amazing to see the work that's taking place around the state.
Yeah, that's good. And we're privileged here on the show. We do remote broadcasts from a number of those communities in the downtown Main Street area. Always impressed. And you're right. There is a lot of passion, a lot of dedication, a lot of interest in keeping those Main Street areas kind of at the forefront of the community. And what's really impressive to me is when you drive down those main streets, all the buildings are occupied.
That's right.
There are shops and stores and restaurants and so forth in those buildings, and they all seem to be doing well. So that's a good sign.
Absolutely. And just a very quick, if I can kind of walk down, history road. What we saw across the nation was really in the 1960s, kind of a movement away from the downtown, right? There was a lot of, suburban development. There was a lot of, there was development and the rise of shopping malls, 1960s, 1970s. People started to realize in the late 70s, hey, these downtowns that were so important to our communities, they're kind of drying up. The stores are boarded up. And certainly some of that was not due to, development, but rather due to moving highways and things. But in the early 1980s, a movement started to, hey, we've got to get these main streets back. How do we do this? And there was a number of initiatives that were pursued and ultimately unsuccessful. And then in 1980, the National Trust tried and developed what was called the Main Street Approach, which was the birth of the National Main Street Model, 4-point approach to economic development, economic revitalization. And it has been amazing to see the results of that approach. And I've got some stats here with me if you want me to put those out there. So Mississippi has had our own Mississippi Main Street Association for 40 years this year. We began in 1984. I've got some stats from last year and then some stats going back to 1993, which is when we began tracking reinvestment statistics. Last year in 2023 alone, Mississippi's Main Street programs helped to catalyze 372 new businesses, 71 business expansions, 868 new jobs, 170 facade rehabs, 704 downtown living spaces, 70 new construction projects, and 139 public improvement projects. All that on top of $78 million in private investment and $250 million in public investment in 2023 in Mississippi's downtowns alone. Now, going back to, again, 1993, you're looking at over 9,000 new businesses, over 1,500 business expansions, 47,000 new jobs, over 4,000 revitalization projects, over 1.8 billion public dollars invested, and 4.7 billion private dollars. So downtown revitalization is economic development, and it's amazing to see what this organization has been able to accomplish during its history in the state.
Jim, what qualifies a city, town, a community to become a member of the association?
Yeah, well, that's kind of the beauty of it. Any community from tiny to metropolis can become a Main Street community. We've got 3 different levels of membership. The associate level is the lowest level. That's typically for those communities who are in the early stages of economic downtown revitalization. And then you've got the network level, which is kind of the mid-level. Those are for communities that have spent some time in the program. They are interested in becoming the highest level of a designated community. And then that highest level is a designated community. So really from from your tiniest little village to your largest town, everybody has access to Main Street.
Is there any legislation that the association is tracking right now?
We are. We've got Governor Reeves last year signed Senate Bill 2359, which created the Mississippi Main Street Revitalization Grant Program with the intent of allocating state dollars toward downtown revitalization projects. We've got 19 projects that have been submitted for this year.
Wow.
And we're kind of watching how those move through the process.
Okay.
So, yes,
okay.
Sir.
So they're in good shape there. To what extent do these communities collaborate just to promote interest and just the well-being and health of the overall gambit of them?
That's a great question. There's a lot of collaboration. Part of the designated level of membership is we have got a sort of an online community where each of these local directors are able to kind of work together and talk through, we could do a festival together, or what has worked well in your town with this. How have you strung lights across your downtown? Things like that. So there's a lot of collaboration. And then actually outside of the state, we have great relationships with the Louisiana Main Street and the Arkansas Main Street. So we actually do kind of some tri-state events. In September, we'll have an event called Destination Downtown that we'll be hosting in Vicksburg, but that includes also Louisiana and Arkansas. So we're excited about that.
So it seems like that we're almost returning to the day where the downtown areas were sort of the core and the centerpiece of a community. There's a lot of interest in that, is there not, in that lifestyle?
Absolutely. Part of what the research shows basically is that kind of a field of dreams type deal. If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Our hope is that as these downtowns continue to be revitalized, there's restaurants, there's stuff to do, there's parks, there's playgrounds, that maybe we can kind of combat some of this brain drain epidemic. Keep some of those people in Mississippi where they want to live in these nice downtowns. They want to live in these new residential spaces downtown, whatever that looks like. So absolutely.
Yeah. And this sort of multi-purpose scenario, right, is of huge interest and seems to be attracting a lot of residents. They like to be able to live and work and shop and eat all in the same walking distance area, so to speak.
Absolutely. So things have in many ways kind of gone full circle to 100 years ago.
Yeah, because you're right, because back in the 50s and 60s, the baby boom era, the deal was get out in the suburbs, with the row houses and the picket fences, and now it's like we're almost going back to where we were before all that trend started.
Absolutely, and it's certainly refreshing and exciting to me to see the element of economic development for the state that comes along with that. When our downtowns do well, our state does well.
Yeah, totally agree. Now I'm looking on your website. You've got a featured community section, and at this time it is West Point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the featured community. So I assume you rotate that among your communities.
We do.
We're going to be in West Point doing a remote tomorrow. So
West Point has done an amazing job with their downtown.
Yeah, no doubt.
All across the state. Actually, on the website, you can take a look at all of our member communities. We have 48 designated communities, 2 network communities, and 30 associate communities. You can take a look at each of those communities on the website, and each of them have their own Main Street websites. You can take a look and see, in this community around me, these are the festivals that are taking place there, or, these are the things, the ways I can be involved. And it certainly doesn't have to be a community near to you. If you're living in Tupelo and you see something neat in Biloxi, go take a road trip, go to their festival, check it out.
Something else is common in all these communities are just various events. And so you've got a nice calendar, a single place you can go to see all the events and all the schedule, the calendar across all of these communities in the state.
That's right.
There's constant.
Always something going on.
Yeah.
Always something going on.
Really good. And we've interviewed a number of the people involved in those events, and they're fantastic at organizing these deals and also promoting them and really making it fun for a lot of people.
100%. These local directors are superstars. The amount of work that they put into their own respective communities and downtowns is amazing and ultimately generates amazing results. So
yeah, well, that's what they all say, that the draw when they have these events, typically on Friday, Saturday, over the weekend, that people come from often out of state.
That's right.
They'll come specifically for the event, whatever the interest area is and the theme is. West Point's one that has something around Labor Day, I believe.
I believe
if
so.
I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. Yes, sir.
Arts Festival, I believe, or something.
That sounds
like that.
right.
And
Yes, sir.
it's unbelievable the people that come in. But I'm not just calling out West Point. That's across the whole state.
Absolutely.
We have those kinds of events.
Absolutely.
So your organization is pretty involved in helping them, I guess, and just helping them promote these things and organize and structure it?
We are. We have a director of community development who works very, very closely with these communities. So we are absolutely as involved as we can, and that's something, during my tenure I would love to be as connected as possible to each of those communities.
Appreciate you coming on. Nice job, and we're blessed here in Mississippi with so many great communities that have these fabulous main streets. Main Street Association, Jim Miller, the executive director. See you, Jim. Thanks, man.
Thanks so much, Gerard. Appreciate it.
We're coming right back, folks, in the Element Well studio.